Good morning, everyone. I'm Natalie Carr, one of the interior designers here at Pointe.
And I'm Aaron Golden. How are you guys?
We are so excited to be here with you guys because we're talking about outdoor spaces.
Oh, and the weather here can't be more amazing to talk about this today.
Yeah, I mean, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning. It's already 85 degrees out.
Yes.
So 'tis the season that everybody starts running outside to do, their entertaining and hanging out outside.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought today would be a great topic to talk to you guys about California rooms. So we always ask this. Does anybody know what a California room? No, it's not just a room in California.
Because technically every room in California is a California room.
Very true. A California room is really an outdoor sort of seamless living area, sort of like an outdoor living room.
It can either be attached to your home or detached from your home, and it can be as intricate as you want or as simple as you want.
Correct. So we're going to go over some concepts and some overviews on more details about what that means here to come. But let's start with why listen to us. We suggest you don't listen.
I wouldn't. But
We're just kidding. So we are a design build firm, and Aaron will be going into what that means a little later in this kind of presentation. We've been serving Orange County since 1986. Can you do the math?
I think it's 36.
I can't do the math that fast.
I'm just guessing.
It's been a really long time. We specialize in room additions. We specialize in kitchen remodels, bathrooms, and whole home renovations. One of the things we are so seeing a trend in is definitely California rooms. We primarily used to just do, kitchens and baths and things like that. Also, as a side note, it used to be that kitchens and baths, when you sunk your money into those, you'd always have a great return on your investment. And now there's a third category to that, which is California rooms, especially here where the weather is perfect. Everybody's really looking for that. So it's a great return on your investment as well. One thing that we're really proud of is that 52% of our clients are referrals and past clients. So it's kind of a testament that we're doing something right.
Mm-hmm. So today we're going to have 5 topics we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about how to plan your project, what architecture and engineering is and what it involves, outdoor accessories that you can put in your California room, design details that we go through, and then there's a lot of the fun part at the end, which is all the inspiration photos.
Yes, we want to show you guys a couple of projects that we've actually done so you guys can get some ideas for your own project. So let's talk about planning your project. Let's pretend that you guys are planning on doing California room. You're super excited. Where do you start? How do you even go about something like this? Mm-hmm. So the first thing is please set realistic expectations.
We all love Chip and JoJo.
We do, but I am not JoJo and this is not Chip. And we cannot come out to your backyard, kick down a bunch of walls and build a California room for $20,000 without permits.
And in 3 days or over one glass of wine.
Yeah. So, we love the shows, but please set realistic expectations, especially about permit process here in California. If you're talking about doing a California room, this is a structural element. It's not, 4 posts and a roof. And they're going to want you to do it the right way because we are in earthquake country.
Yes.
So, and it does take time and it does cost a bit of money.
So there are project options that you can all start with. You can be a DIYer, which is a do-it-yourselfer. You can either work with a contractor or you can select a design build firm. Pointe is a design build firm. So we want to go into that a little bit too. Basically, a design build firm is we are everything from nuts to bolts. We are from start to finish. You see here, when you work with a contractor, you guys are kind of like the center of that universe. You have to deal with your architect and hire them. You have to hire your interior designer, your structural engineer, you purchase all your materials. Then you are responsible for coordinating all of those 4 aspects and getting it to your general contractor. And then the general contractor is in charge of getting that to the subcontractors. So you kind of have to be that guiding force in the, you're driving the train in a sense. So when you work with a design build firm, as you can see, you guys are much relaxed on the left-hand side there, with the final product. We as the design build contractor, we coordinate all of those aspects of the design consultant, the project managers, the materials, the deliveries, your structural engineering, and your architect. We here at Pointe have all of that in-house. So it's really easy for us to make it a one-stop shop.
It also helps with your budget too, guys. When you are subbing out to an interior designer, a different architect, a different structural engineer, they're going to design the most beautiful thing, but they're not talking to each other. And so if you thought you were going to be in a certain price bracket and your architect designs this amazing, project for you, and then you go to a general contractor, he could look at that and go, to build this is 3 times what you thought you were going to do. So that's another benefit with working with a design build firm, is that we already set your budget beforehand, and our architects, we're almost working backwards, so that we don't spiral out of control and design something that you can't afford. So let's talk about some key considerations. You definitely need to, if whoever you choose, whether it's a design build or a general contractor, you want to definitely do your homework. One thing that is very important is the importance of insurance. If anything happens to a worker while they're out on your property and they don't have insurance, you can be liable. So if Johnny falls off the ladder and he did not have proper insurance, you can be liable for Johnny's medical expenses. So do your homework. You'll see that there's a website here that you can go onto, and feel free to use any of these, jot down any of them. We still have a chat bar at the bottom, I believe, that you can find some useful information. So tap on that or go to that website and check out whoever it is that you're going to hire.
And also in that chat box, just to add to it, if you guys have any questions or anything about what we're talking about along the way, you can put those questions in there and we will get to those at the end. So please don't hesitate to use that.
Yes, we love questions, and that's what Aaron and I are here for. Yes. So ask away.
So there is the importance of licensing. You want to make sure whoever you hire has the correct licenses. You don't want, let's say you install a water heater, you have to go up through your roof to ventilate it, all of that. So that actually has to have 2 different licenses to be able to do that. So let's say your roof starts leaking. You don't want your water heater plumber guy to fix your roof. So you really want to make sure that they have the correct license. Are they a general contractor? Do they have a specialty? Like I just said, are they a plumber? Are they a roofer? So in California, there are 43 different classifications of licenses. And also do not hesitate to ask if you have someone come over to your house, if his name is John Smith and it's John Smith contractor, make sure his driver's license, if he's John Smith, that's who that actually is. Because what happens a lot of time in our industry is that people will work for a company and then they'll leave and they'll use that contractor license as their own, which they cannot do. But you just got to be careful of that in the state of California.
Absolutely.
And then there's also the importance of references. References are very, very important. Don't hesitate to ask. Ask to go see a job site. Ask for referrals. Here you can see C Point, we've been voted, best Orange County. We're also in house. We're one of the top 500 in the nation. I think we're actually in the top 50, I think. So ask for all of that. Don't be afraid to see what people say and, how people feel. And it's a good thing to go by a job site too, to see how, the company runs their projects. We at C Point pride ourselves on being extremely clean, extremely organized. We tell all your neighbors, if there's an issue, please contact us, all of that, because we want to make sure that the experience is enjoyable.
Right. And, to piggyback off what Aaron was just saying, about references, is that a smaller company may not be nationally recognized, and that's okay. But definitely, like as he was saying, don't hesitate to call a past client. And it's just like if you were hiring somebody for your own company, you definitely want to do your due diligence to make sure that you're hiring someone who's going to take care of your house. It's your most prized possession other than your children or whatever. But you want to make sure that they're taking care of your investment.
Oops. So this little chart here.
More scary stuff.
I know.
I swear we're getting to fun stuff.
We'll get to fun stuff, we promise. This is just the educational portion of our little spiel here. So 63% of construction companies fail within the first 5 years. You'll see that on that very faint green line at the bottom, right above the 36.4%. So you want to make sure that whoever you're using has been around, is going to be around, because a lot of contractors will come and go, but they start up 2 weeks later as somebody else. That's why it's important to make sure you're going with a reputable business like C Point. Like Natalie said earlier, we've been in business for 36 years. So that's something to commend and to take into consideration.
Another thing that's important is warranty. One of the reasons that it is important to go with someone that is reputable is that in the state of California, we are required by law to give you at least a 1-year warranty. You want to make sure that that's in writing with whoever you go with, that is on your contract. Here at C-Point, we don't want to spend all of our time doing warranty work. We give you a 5-year warranty. We do it right the first time. So it is really important, and it's definitely something to look for.
So design build process. Let's go into that, Nat.
Okay.
So we do offer complimentary first appointments. How you get an appointment is you either visit our website or you call in, or you can put your information in the text box below and we will get back to you to set that appointment. Someone will come out to your house. We walk your project. We go through the ins and outs, what you want, what you don't want. And then we also will speak about budget at that point as well.
We always want to see the lay of the land, right? Because you might have a grandiose vision and Aaron and I come out to see you and we're like, well, wait a minute, you can't even put it that close to your lot line. Or we've been doing this for, years and years and years, and we within a couple of minutes can tell you, yes, this is possible, or no, it's not. And so we definitely, picture speaks 1,000 words, but it's much better for us to see it in person, and then we can meet you too, which is always fun.
So when we work with us, we do compile your budget range for you. We do have design fees per your project scope. It all depends on the size and scope of it. Then we want to get started, and then the design process begins.
So let's talk about planning and design. The first thing that we do, let's pretend you guys are like super gung-ho, you're ready to do a California room. What does that entail? How does a project go from a conceptual idea that you have in your head to here's your living, breathing California room? Well, the first thing that we want to start with, in the state of California is going to require us to do this, is a site plan. Basically, that's the current condition. Where does your house sit? Where is your lot? Because the city is going to want to see, even just to get permits to build this, how far away are you from a retaining wall? How far are you away from a slope? Things like that are all really important. And also pools. You have to be a certain distance away from certain pools just to get a permit. So we want to make sure that we see the current conditions. And then we go to floor plan. So you can see here that there was their family room, and then we built the California room right up to their home. Then we start getting all kinds of fun stuff.
Then we start designing. So right here, you'll see that this is the cabinet elevation. The project we're going to show you guys is pretty extensive. It had a lot going on inside of it. It was really pretty.
It was so fun.
So here we lay this all out with you, so you can see that there's 6 floating shelves. There's 2 sets of cabinets, and then you go here. This is a top view. This shows where the beams are going to be, where the floating shelves are, where we're mounting a wall-mounted television, the door entry, everything. We try to spell it out so that everyone knows what's going on and there's no confusion. And then we go into renderings. As you can see here, this is a color rendering of what the room will actually look like. This one, as you can tell, is made more for a living space. It does not have a kitchen. Some California rooms have a kitchen and no living space. Some just have a living space, and some have all 3. So this one here is more of the typical California living, where they've extended their indoor living to the exterior.
One of the things I want you guys to note here is that we did make some changes here. And that's what these renderings are really for. They are a communication tool for your designer to present to you. And then we start discussing things like one of the things that we knew right away is that we were going to do shiplap on the back of the fireplace. But the flooring ended up changing. We lightened up the beams. We kept pretty much the same lighting, but we did tweak some things here. And that we want to make those changes on paper. Right? We don't want to buy a bunch of tile, go out there, we start to lay it, and you go, oh, I hate it, stop. That's the worst thing that can happen. Not the worst thing, but one of the worst things. And so these are a great communication tool, is that we want you to be able to visualize this. We ended up doing some recessed heaters up here too. And so we added those in. It's, you want to look at it objectively and go, okay, what else, what are we missing? What tweaks do we want to make? You can see here that we did have a beverage fridge. And then there's some elevations as well. So not just renderings, but we have to go really in depth and in detail, even just to get permits. So these are some elevations that you guys are going to start seeing. So we go from kind of pretty conceptual to, okay, now we know the size, we know what's going to go in it. Let's start drawing and getting our structural engineering.
Because the city and also your HOA sometimes will require all these drawings to be done, so there is no confusion as to what you're actually going to build. They want to know everything from like a utility plan here, like where the heaters are going, how many lights you're putting in. So we are pretty extensive in all of the information that we do give you. And
you want us to be. The last thing I would want is, this is a no joke project. This is not remodeling, a powder bathroom. This is a structural living, breathing. It's an extension of your house. And you don't want to be guessing, well, did they include can lights? It should all be spelled out for you. All of those details should be worked out to the letter before you start construction.
So when we start, we have what was called the design agreement. We have, all your design is complete, then you have your materials, and then we have no allowances. We like to put everything in. From that time, we go from the design agreement, which is basically your rough estimate. We actually go into an actual contract. That is where everything is spelled out from A to Z. Like Natalie said, we call it the 2 a.m. freak out contract, because you can go in your electrical, say, okay, I have 3 dimmer switches. I have 9 can lights. I have 2 heaters. It's all spelled out, so there are no surprises, because nobody wants to, come home and look up and go, wait, I thought there was supposed to be this or this.
Or even details of, you wake up and go, did we put gas heaters in there or are they electric? Yeah. That should all be spelled out like in great detail. Or, what's the grout that we're picking? All of that stuff is figured out before we start construction.
And with all that, it does ensure like a smooth, process, a completion date. We want to make sure that we finish on time and within your budget. So from there, after you've signed your final contract, we do what's called a construction ramp up. That's where whoever your designer is, in this case, we'll act like it's Natalie and I. We bring to your home your project manager. So you meet the project manager. We walk your whole project again. We make sure everything is, spelled out, that you guys have a good rapport. And then they, as a project manager, start compiling all of their supplies. They put everything on to order. And then we do not start your project until we have everything in-house. Then we also have another fun thing, city permits and HOA. HOAs, we love HOAs. They make for great neighborhoods, but in California, they do not speak to contractors. So they will have to speak to you as the homeowner. We do put together all of the information that you need to give to them to make that process easier, but that is something that you have to handle on your end. You also, in the state of California, have to get lead and asbestos testing. We have to test all the areas that we're working in. It used to be really scary when people would say abatement, thinking, oh my gosh, they found lead or asbestos in, the tile in my kitchen. I have to tear all my flooring out my house. No, we only have to abate the areas that we're actually working on. So it's not as scary as it used to be. And then we also obtain all of your city building permits for you. Some of them are more extensive depending on what you do, and some of them are over the counter.
For a California room, your HOA is really going to be something, if you're just remodeling your kitchen, you're not dealing with your HOA. But for a California room, for sure. And a lot of times they tell you things that you don't want to hear. We have one going on right now that we were kind of bummed, and the HOA made us put the Spanish tile on the California room, even though we begged and pleaded. We have to follow their rules. So, HOAs are a big part of outdoor projects, as are your building permits. So typically, if you're just doing a kitchen, you're over the counter, no big deal. But when it comes to a California room, you're going to be going through the planning departments and structural engineers and things like that. So it's a bigger process.
So our suggestion is, if you're thinking of doing a California room, please check with your HOA first, because they do have a thing which you guys all have in your HOAs called CC&Rs, which will spell out what is allowed and what is not allowed, so that we're not all spinning our wheels before we submit it to the HOA and they say, no, you can't do this. It only can be this tall. It can only be this.
Yes. And then construction starts. Hooray!
Yay! I know it seems like a lot to get to this point, but you want to have that process.
Yeah.
You want to know that everything is in line. And then we get to the funnest question of all.
How much does it cost? Well, to be honest, this is like asking how much a car costs.
Yes.
Are you buying a Honda or are you buying a Mercedes? Are you buying an SUV with every, bell and whistle, or are you just buying a truck? It completely depends. There are different types of California rooms, and we'll go into that. But here's a little kind of graph to show you, like in a kitchen, 50% of your budget's going to go to cabinets. For a California room, it's completely different. 45% is just rough construction, because you're pouring foundations, you're framing in roofs, you're electrical, you're digging gas, you're trenching for gas lines and water lines. So really almost 50% of your budget's just in construction.
Yep.
It just depends on, I always kind of put it this way, if 50% of your budget is like rough construction, and, you've got a little bit for cabinets and things like that. It just really depends on where your taste level is too. Are you going to save money on tile? Are you splurging? All of that, your designer should help guide you and kind of where you splurge and where you save some money.
Because like we said earlier, they can be everything from just a covered, 4-post structure to something that's walled in on 2 sides, something that's just a living space, something that's a full, kitchen, dining, living.
We have one of those going on right now.
There's a lot of different things that can go into one of these. So to price it is a little difficult, but you will be in excess of $100,000 most likely.
Yeah, most of the time. Some things that will swing that cost is whether it's attached or not attached. If you attach it to your house, it is more expensive, because now we have to put what's called shear wall. We've got to basically, for lack of better terms, strengthen your walls of your existing house so that if an earthquake should happen, that that California room doesn't rip down half your house. Yeah. Do you want just a living room or a kitchen, like Aaron was talking about, the look and feel? How many appliances? How many accessories? Do you want a fireplace? Do you want, stereo speakers out there? All of that will affect the cost.
So here's an example so people understand. On the left-hand side, you'll see a non-attached versus an attached. So a non-attached is a freestanding structure, put in within the parameters of what your HOA will allow, your setbacks. And then you'll see there the attached actually is a physical structure attached to your house, which becomes part of your actual home.
So when I was saying that they would have to strengthen that wall, here's the wall, that's basically from the outside to your kitchen. This wall, they would have to strengthen to make sure that that structure, if anything, God forbid, should happen, can hold that movement of an earthquake and doesn't tear down this wall.
Mm-hmm. So here's a couple examples of one that is a living room only with a fireplace. And then the one on the left is just a kitchen. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. You were like turning, I'm sorry. I was like, wait, it says stainless now.
If we are talking about doing kitchens, what kind of cabinetry do you guys want out there? We are obsessed with a line that we carry here that I swear it looks like wood. It's crazy, but you can literally take a cabinet door, submerge it in a pool for 2 years, and nothing will ever happen to it. So they've made leaps and bounds in the technology of outdoor kitchens as well, from the gadgets that you can get to the kind of cabinets that you can get.
If Natalie can go back one more, you'll see there it says weatherproof, not waterproof. So outdoor cabinets are weatherproof. They are not waterproof. So if water hits them directly, if you take your hose and squirt it directly at these cabinets, the water is going to go inside of them. They're not sealed tight.
That's true.
They do have, weatherproofing on them to keep out the elements, but they are not waterproof. Then there's also appliances and fixtures that we're going to go into. As you can see, barbecues, lighting, fixtures as in the sinks, faucets. And then there's also ceiling treatments. This is actually that California room that you saw the renderings for before, where we put the ceiling heaters in. There's a ceiling fan. There's also light fixtures.
There's also exposed beams.
Mm-hmm.
There's
a lot.
We did a lot in here. But I love this one.
It's really pretty.
There's also flooring options. So if you guys remember from the renderings, and I was saying that we changed the flooring up, we ended up doing a chevron pattern here. Just to kind of give it a different look. But you can put tile outside. You can do porcelain planks. I wouldn't recommend wood.
No.
But you could do an LVP. If you don't know what that is, you can text the question and we'll try and answer it. But most people know what LVP is. You also want to make sure that you're looking into, just as a little side note, is what kind of countertops should go out here too. It needs to be something that can withstand the weather. And
Because for outdoors, you can only put natural stone outside, because if you try to do a quartz countertop, it has to be specifically made for outdoor use. And there are a few of them out there. There's not a lot to choose from, but there are some that they come more basic colors in like black, gray, white. But you can also always use a natural stone.
this one in particular, we used real soapstone. Other gadgets.
So you can go as crazy as you want. Here you'll see, you can do pizza ovens. They come all different sizes and shapes. You can do fire pits and fireplaces. When you put a fire element inside a California room, hence that top left-hand corner up there where it has the fire pit in the middle, we will have to vent through the ceiling for that. And also depends on barbecue locations as well too, because heat has to have a place to escape. So it all depends on the location, but fireplaces usually are on the exterior along with barbecues. And in some instances, like the one in the left-hand corner, it is in the center. You can also do beverage fridges. You can go beverage crazy. We have a project right now where we have several beverage drawers, refrigerator drawers. We have glass front beverage centers. We have solid front. There's a lot to choose from in today's market. I'm having a problem talking today.
Okay. I'm here for you. I'm here for you, as I always am. There is a lot to choose from.
Yeah.
And beverage fridges are not really all that expensive. And
Yeah.
It's pretty easy, and they're a matter of convenience for sure. Any California room I do, it's the first appliance that I'm like, you want one. Trust me, you don't want to be running in and out. And it's one of the most economical ones to put out in the California room.
Yes. But you also have to remember too, everything you put outside is outside. So there is a maintenance issue that you do have with these things. So sometimes you may want to, scale back a little bit on how many of the, gadgetry, that we put in it. Sometimes it may not be an issue at all. And you go, I want them all. So.
But that's part of your designer's job. And any good designer will talk you through all of these options and hold you by the hand and say, okay, here's the pros, here's the cons. What do you want to do? What can be done out there? And, we also ask a lot of key questions of how are you going to be using the space? Is there going to be kids? Are there family? Are you watching the game? What are you using it for? And all of that will help us as designers make that room as functional as possible for you, and then work with your budget.
Audio visual. Yes, you can. There are televisions made specifically for outdoors. You can do a big screen. There's lots of things like that. You can have sound. It's all just depends on, the limits of your imagination.
And your budget.
Yep. Now we can go into appliances and then we have waterproof cabinetry again. Here's another visual. And then
okay, there was just this.
Yeah, for appliances, there's again, like we just talked about all those, the cooking appliances. There's barbecues, there's the big Teflon grills, there's the egg, there's pizza ovens, there's warming drawers, there's a lot of different things you can put outside.
We talked about weatherproofing cabinetry, and then that's kind of where we are.
Yeah. So if you guys want to make an appointment, you can call us today at the phone number you see there at 949-861-3400. You can also visit the website to make an appointment, or again, in that chat box below. So we do have some questions that we got. How much does a California room cost? Well, we kind of covered that a little bit earlier, but again, it all depends on how much you're going to put into it. If it's attached, detached, and you will be in upwards of $100,000 for sure.
Mike asked, do you need a permit? Yes, you do. This is definitely, as you will probably remember, there were 3 categories that, you could do a DIY, hire a contractor, or hire a design build. We didn't even talk about a DIY because building a California room by yourself is crazy. Nobody would be able to do that unless you were a contractor yourself. You would still need help.
Yes.
Do you
still need a permit?
Yes. So in the state of California, 100% you need a permit. You can't do something like this without one. Not only that, but it wouldn't benefit you to sink the money in and not get it permitted, because if you ever sold that house, you can't claim that California room as part of what you've built. Permits don't cost a ton of money, and really it wouldn't have any benefit to not permit it. Another thing that I always tell everybody is I think a lot of people are scared of permits. Really, it's your insurance policy. What's happening when somebody comes out, when you pull a permit, an inspector's going to come out and look at whoever's doing that work and making sure that they're doing it the right way. So they're not going to go through your house and see that you illegally put in a water heater. They don't care.
Yeah.
They're just there to look at our work being done and making sure that we're doing it right. So yes, you want a permit, and yes, you have to have a permit for a California run.